Hi there, truck, trailer, and RV owners. Today we're going to be taking a look at Optimate's line of smart battery chargers for non-lithium 12-volt systems. So here we have our 4 options for 12-volt system battery chargers. They do come in various amperage outputs, and as we go up in amperage, we do get a little bit extra testing with its charge strategy. So while it's charging them, it'll actually test the batteries to adjust its strategy along the way to ensure that it's charging your batteries optimally to get them up to 100%, and also ensure it's not charging them too fast where it could potentially degrade the life cycle of the battery. And as we go up higher, you're going to have a little bit better protection with each. Down here on the bottom, this one's mostly just a maintainer with an output of 0.8 amps. So it's mainly a maintainer. If it's a smaller single battery, you could potentially charge it up with this one here. And this one does have the least amount of testing involved with it. It's just a 4-step system that goes through a lot of your typical charging strategies to get it up, charged, and then maintained. As we move up to the 4-amp charger, there's some additional testing that occurs with this one to ensure that we've got the best charge strategy for this battery. There's a 6-step process in this one, and we've got 4 amps of output here. And with 4 amps, that's going to be ideal for a single battery or even a 2 battery bank system, depending on the capacity that you've got available there. And it will be able to charge us with real high capacities. It's just it may take it a much longer time. We can move up to 5 amps. This one's only a little bit higher output, but this has a 9-step charge process, so it does additional tests of the battery along the way during its charge process to make sure that each step is going to have the best possible charge strategy. And it's going to be the same here with the 10 amp, but with 10 amps available, we're going to be able to charge up larger battery banks. Maybe we've got 4 or 6 batteries in a bank. We should be able to get this charged up easily and at a reasonable amount of time with a 10 amp charger like this. So here today we've got our 5th wheel in the background, and we're going to be charging up the batteries on this. We're going to go ahead and show off the 5 amp charger on this because that's going to be a great charger for a single or dual battery setup like we've got here. If we had more batteries in there, we might move up to the 10, but the 5 should be just fine. The 10 will reduce the amount of time to charge them, so if you're looking to get it charged quickly, then the 10 might be a better option for you, but we're going to be showing off the 5. Our 4 amp charger here is going to be great for a single battery setup. I've got a pop-up camper at home, so something like this is a really good option. But with the extra steps on the 5 amp, it might be worth it to just do that little bit of upgrade here because it can help to extend the life of the battery just a little bit more by having the most appropriate charge strategy. It's probably not going to be a huge difference, but that could be maybe 1 more year of life you get out of the battery with using this one versus some of the other ones. And down here with this one just being a battery maintainer, this is really just for keeping your battery charged up while it's in storage and stuff like that, so that way it's not going to desulfate or have any issues wearing out its capacity from sitting in storage for so long. And if you've got something small like an ATV or something like that that has a smaller battery, you could probably get that charged up pretty easily with this as well. So here we've got our battery compartment in our 5th wheel trailer here. This is the one that was sitting right behind us. This is our battery box here, and if we just lift it up, we can see inside that we've got 2 batteries. So this is the 1 battery bank of 2 batteries, and they're hooked together in parallel, and we can tell that because we can see the negative here is connected to the negative here. The black cable is just running from one to the other. Same with our positives. There's a cable just connecting the 2 positives together. So since they're hooked together in parallel, that means that each one's a 12-volt battery. The voltage is going to maintain the same. It's still going to be 12 volts for our system here, but the capacity of each battery is going to add together, so we'll have twice the capacity. When you're charging them, you could hook one of your leads to the negative and one to the positive. It doesn't matter which battery since they're hooked in parallel. If it was series, it would be a different story. You need to make sure in a series setup that you're hooking at the beginning for the negative of your series setup, then you hook up with the positive at the end of the bank. But on parallel, it doesn't matter. You can just pick a negative, pick a positive. They're hooked together in series, they'll charge. But something like this, oftentimes on top of your battery box, you'll find it posts just like this. And this is actually a jump or charge port here. If we wanted to hook up a power supply to run our trailer, we could hook our power supply up here, or if we wanted to charge the batteries, we could hook up right here because these posts are connected right down to our batteries. You'll receive 2 different types of cables with your battery charger. We've got just the regular clamp style here, and this is what we're going to use today just to show off, and this is great for just quickly charging up some batteries. If you're moving your charger around, maybe you use your charger to charge up maybe your lawnmower at home. Maybe then you move over and need to charge up one of your vehicles, your bike. If you're just moving it around a lot, maybe your boat you're charging up, and then your camper. So these are great for being able to quickly move your charger from one to the other. This one though is a more permanent type of cable, and this is really nice for a trailer like this. We could install this directly onto the batteries, and what that would do for us is provide us with a hookup here so we could just plug our charger directly into this. That would just simplify the setup, because if you don't have any posts like this up top here and your batteries are inside of a container, they're vented here to get rid of some of that gases. It's pretty necessary for batteries. So if you can't get inside easily, instead of taking these screws out and lifting up this cover to hook up your clamps to it, you can just permanently install this and leave this cable just kind of draping out the side here, and then you just plug right in and we can get those charged up. And since this is going to be permanently mounted on your trailer, the positive and negatives are going to be hooked up, which means that the other end of the cable here is live. So they put fuse protection in there, so in the event that maybe your caps here all fallen off, and then this touches some kind of ground, if it were to short, you don't have to worry about any damage caused to your wiring or any kind of fire or anything like that starting. It'll just open the fuse. So it's cool that they've got protection in there for you for any accidents. And then if we look at the other end here, on this particular cable, it comes with this little sleeve on it, and that works as a dust cap. So you could even install this on a trailer like my pop-up camper, where my battery's not in a compartment. It actually sits on the A-frame outside the trailer. You don't want your connections getting all corroded up, so this keeps this connection nice and free of moisture, so that way we can have this mounted outside the trailer and still use it. And what's even cooler about this dust cap here, if we look, this is actually a sleeve that slides on here. And what this will do is we can leave this sleeve in place, plug in our cable, and that whole sleeve actually seals up around here. So we could have this just sitting on right outside. It could be raining outside and we're charging up our batteries, and this is going to help protect us from the moisture as well. With the regular just clip-on leads, it doesn't have that sleeve on there, so you can see here where when we plug these two together, there's no protection there. Moisture could get down in there and potentially cause us an issue if we're just going to leave this sitting outside. So now we're just going to hook it up. We're just going to clip our connections on here, and let's head over to our charger now and see what we got going on. So we've gone ahead and powered up the charger, and we can see here it went straight past step 1, which is a low voltage check to make sure it's above 2 volts, which we are. It's gone on to step 2, where it will do a pulse wake up, and it's just testing the battery. Looks like everything passed there. So it's now moved on to the next test, past its testing, and we've gone into either the advanced save or the pulse save. The save light lights up for both step 4 and step 5. Step 4 is an advanced save for highly sulfated batteries, and step 5 is just a pulse save. If you just hook this up like we did to our batteries on the trailer, it will skip step 4 and go straight to step 5. In order to use the advanced save mode for highly sulfated batteries, you'll need to physically remove the battery from the trailer. It can't have anything else connected to it in the circuit, so you can just disconnect all the wires or completely pull that battery out of there and then charge it. And this is recommended if the battery is severely discharged. Typically, if you've discharged it to the point where it's down below like 5 volts, somewhere where it's heavily discharged, it's recommended to remove it and charge it just by itself, so it can go into that advanced mode to try to recover that battery and keep the most capacity as possible in that battery. And if it does pass, it moves on to step 5, which is a pulse save, where it just prepares the battery for a full-on charge. It will stay in the save mode for between 15 minutes up to 2 hours. Just to make sure that it's preparing our battery properly. We're not going to inject too much voltage into it, and we're not going to do anything that's going to cause the battery to degrade its overall capacity. So once it's completed here, it will then click over to charge, and then it will charge our batteries up. That'd be the next step in the process. So now this is a smart charger. It's constantly taking measurements and verifying it's doing the right thing. So it's going to be in this mode here for a little bit, and the amount of time it stays in this mode is going to depend on the capacity of your batteries, the particular charger you've chose. If you have a higher output charger, it can go a little bit faster. And then again, it all depends on how much batteries you've got. The more batteries you have, the longer it may take. And it depends on the condition of those batteries. If they're severely discharged, they may take a lot longer to go through these modes to get it charged up, versus maybe they've just been sitting out here for a while and they've just kind of drained a little bit from natural sitting versus being actually discharged from all the use from all your electronics. So we're just going to give it some time here to let it get through this mode and into the next one. This trailer has just been doing a lot of sitting, so I don't think it's going to take it a very long time on this one, because we haven't really been using the batteries too much. So now that we've moved on to the next step, which is step 6, that's our charge mode. We can see the lights lit up there showing that we're in charge mode. It enters charge mode if it determines that your battery is at least 50% state of charge and that it is no longer sulfated, that it's properly recovered it from sulfation. You'll also notice that the amperage light is lit up here, this is showing how much current we're going into the battery, and there is a gauge here. If the lower LED is lit up, that is up to 1 amp is being pushed into our battery. If it's the second light, which is what we currently have lit, that means you're getting between 1 and 4 amps pushed into the battery. And then if the top light's lit up, that's your maximum of 5 amps. That's when it's pushing as much in there as possible. And that's only necessary depending on how much it needs to charge. These batteries are likely close enough to being fully charged that it doesn't need that maximum output. Now this gauge here is specific to the 5 amp, but there is a similar gauge on the other chargers from Optimate, but they're going to have the appropriate amount of amperage that that charger is rated for. After the charge process, it'll go into the optimization process. This is going to have the same lights lit up as the charge process. The difference here is going to be that in the optimized mode, it's going to enter that once it gets to about 14.4 voltage on the battery there, and then it's going to change its strategy slightly to pulse the amperage into the battery to help balance the individual cells of our battery. With your AGMs and your standard 12 volt batteries, you're going to have 6 cells inside of there, so we can use this process to balance those, because if they're not balanced, when you go to take current out of it to power lights or whatever else in your camper, it can discharge an individual cell further than the others if they're not balanced, and that could potentially cause damage to that individual cell. So this is just going to help further extend the life of your battery by evening out those cells. It can stay in this mode for up to 72 hours, and it may even repeat steps 4, 5, 6, and 7 as necessary to optimize your battery and bring it back up to 100% state of charge. Now all of these chargers are going to have this optimize feature where it will repeat some of the cycles to give the best charge for your battery to maximize the capacity that it has available to it. The only difference is this one has a 9-step process, so there's a couple of extra steps that it repeats for like desulfation and stuff like that. These ones still do repeat of their steps to get it up to 100% charge, but they just don't have quite as many steps that they go along with. And they're still going to do a great job of charging your battery. It's just the more steps it has, the more capacity you're going to able to maintain in that battery for a longer period of time. It's just a better charge strategy, so you're not going to lose as much. Every time you take your battery and you discharge it and then recharge it, you are going to lose some of its capacity, but the better your charge strategy, the more of that capacity you're going to be able to maintain. So it's been about an hour and a half now, and we've come back and we can see that it is fully charged all the way up to 100%. And with just this green light on here at the end, that indicates that we're between 80 and 100% charge. It's basically all the way fully charged. And we're now just going to be in a maintain mode where it's just going to ensure that our battery stays fully topped up to help keep it from desulfating. This is just kind of a maintenance charge at this point, just to keep it topped up, kind of like a battery maintainer. So when you look at here where it says maintain, this lets us know that entered the final step of charge mode. It's maintaining the battery, and the color of the light that's lit here tells you the health of your battery. If it's just the green light, that's telling you that your battery's perfectly good and it's likely charged to between 80 and 100%. If it's yellow, you're likely have a fairly worn out battery that can only charge up to between probably 40 and 75% of its original charge, and that's just all that it has available to it. And if you just have the red light lit up, it's probably 50% or less of its maximum charge that it's got available to it. You should probably consider replacement at that point. Sometimes you can see 2 lights. For example, maybe you'll see the yellow and the green. That just means that your current health and state of charge is in between those two. That'd probably be between yellow and green. I would say that's roughly about 60 to 80% in there. And you could also see yellow to red, and that's probably roughly 40 to 20% in there. So now that we know that our batteries are fully charged and we've got the confidence that the diagnostic test has given us the green light that our batteries are in good health, we know that we're ready to hit the campsite and enjoy multiple hours of power from our batteries.